Hello, uh, this is Matz, the creator of the Ruby language. So that I'm awfully sorry that I cannot make the visit to the RubyConf China due to the the COVID-19 and some political situation. But technology can set us free, so that I'm glad that we can communicate via the video, so that uh, I wish we can enjoy the the rest of the key. You can enjoy the rest of the my keynote, and uh, feel better when you use the language I created. So that uh, this year, 2023, is the 30 years has passed since I created the language. So that today I talk about the lessons we learned from last 30 years of the development of Ruby. The, it was 1993, February 27th, 24th. Uh, at that day, I named Ruby Ruby. The the software is the kind of the virtual existence. The software do not have any physical body, so that the concept is everything. So that kind of situation, the name is pretty much important. So the Ruby community celebrate the February 24th as the Ruby's birthday. So at that day, we wanted to create, me and my colleagues talk about the creating new programming language, mostly as a hobby. And then we have several candidates for the code name of the software. The Ruby, of course, and the Coral, because we had the programming language named Perl, so that we wanted to, we thought the naming the new programming language after the jewel is a good idea. And then the other idea is that I already created some kind of the prototype of the scripting language, which name was Tish. So yeah, when I screwed up, maybe we had a Tish as a name of the programming language, and maybe we are attending to the Tish conference. So, but luckily, I was made a good choice and named my programming language Ruby, and it was wonderful. And I believe it was one of the driving power of the popularity of the language. So that I learned the lesson. So the good name matters. Uh, when you create something, software, the projects, tools, company, or in the smaller scale, like naming a class, classes, methods, variables, that those things require good names. So that naming matters. If you can name it properly, the your project, your work will maybe 40 to 50% succeeded. That you have to pick good name, because the name should represent the concept. So that if you can name a good name to the software, that indicates you understands the essential uh, principle of the software. So that you have to name a good name to success. Then more than a year later, 1994, December 1994, so that I made some kind of the closed beta or a closed alpha released to for the closed community, small number of the people who interested in the new programming language. And then we learned a lot. I learned a lot from the language design at that time. So that until that time, I was working long. Basically, the Ruby was my brainchild, and then I was the only person working on the language until that alpha release. But during the alpha release period, we have a lot of ideas and concept from the member of the alpha release community. Then I faced a lot of different point of view. So that kind of point of view helped me a lot to learn about the language. When design something, the designers can easily become, the selfish or narrow-minded. But sometimes we need different point of view. Sometimes those kind of the different point of view or different opinion irritate us. But probably that is that it those irritated opinions should be our the source of the the thinking, source of inspiration, to grow and to learn, so that we need different point of view, even they are sometimes not present. Then 1995 December 1995, I released the first public release of the Ruby programming language with the version number 0.95. It was released on the Japanese domestic news groups, so that the most readers are Japanese. But we gradually formed a community around the language. In 1995, we don't have the World Wide Web yet, so that actually there was the World Wide Web in somewhere in the world, but we didn't use that yet. We used the virtual virtual bulletin board, like the Usenet or news groups, and then I used the Japanese news groups to release the Ruby for the first time. So the most audience are Japanese, and actually at the beginning, most of the documents are in Japanese. But and then we formed the mailing list after the release, and there's some 200, 300 people joined to the mailing list. So actually I was a bit surprised for having 200, 300 people interested in my programming language. But from those people helped me a lot to improve the Ruby and debug the Ruby, define the bug and report bugs, and I can fix bugs. So it was so nice to have those kind of community. But I learned a lot from the importance of the community, and the importance of the communication. A few years later, August 1997, I released the Ruby 1.0. It was the first, the stable release after the Ruby, for the Ruby. Then I suffered some kind of the chicken and egg problem. Which is the Ruby was, Ruby was my hobby. It was out of my joy. I created Ruby just for fun. So that, but not many people use the language seriously. Nobody use for businesses. Nobody use for the serious use cases. Just many people played with the language. That means that Ruby did not provide the benefit at the time. So maybe the 99% of the world population seek the benefit. They are benefit seekers. They use any tools or software or language because they have benefit. But the baby programming language, like Ruby at the time, was did not provide any benefit. It's fun to play with. It's fun to learn about the software, but it did not provide any benefit yet. But the 1% of people played with the language just for fun. That is very much important. But to gain popularity, we needed more people. So that is, as I said before, that it is kind of like a chicken and egg problem, because to attract people, we need to provide benefit. But to provide benefit, we need resource like the developing power or the community effort or anything like that. But to provide to gain resource, we need to attract people by benefit. It's kind of like a deadlock. To provide benefit, we need resource. To gain resource, we need to provide benefit or something like that. So for that kind of period, it's kind of tough period. But luckily, some people interested in Ruby and interested in improving the language and improving the community. So that we call them the comrades, so that they feel sympathy to the community and they join the community and play with Ruby and improve the Ruby. So from the work of those people as a hobby, so that we gradually have grown and gradually improved and gradually started to provide the benefit. So that from November 1999 to October 2004, we had the period of the books and conferences. The first Ruby book in Japanese was published in November 1999, and the first English Ruby book was published in October 2000. And then the first technology conference I was invited was the JAOO held in Denmark in September 2001, which is the same time of the 9/11 in the United States. So that I was in the hotel in Denmark, and looking in the TV news show, and I was pretty much shocked. And the the conference attendees at the time, from the United States, the U.S. border was locked, and then they have to stay the one more week in the conference town. But luckily, I had no trouble and no problem in getting back to Japan. But it was kind of shock for me. Then the next month we had the first RubyConf in the Tampa, Florida, in the United States. At that time, the number of conference attendee was 37. It's teeny conference, but the having conferences over my programming language in the United States it's kind of astonishing for me. So that I often ask about that. Did you predict this situation of popularity of your language at the time of you started the project? And then my answer was no. It was hobby project, and at the beginning, virtually no one had shown interest in my language. So that I expected the after the release in 1995, so that few people would show interest in my programming language. But a few years later, no one, probably most of them left, and then my language would disappear gradually in the history of the internet. And probably then I would go to the next project. But that kind of things didn't happen. And my programming gradually gained the popularity, and far beyond my expectation. Whoa. And the community have grown, so that connection matters. And so the why Ruby gained popularity? The answer is the connection. The programmers, the famous programmer known as the pragmatic programmers, has shown interest in my language. They are the Dave Thomas and Andy Hunt, who wrote some books, and they are all author of my first Ruby book, first English Ruby book. And that kind of the connection made so that they introduced Ruby to other people. They wrote books, and then some other people formed the news group, or the web pages, or they organize the conferences, and that kind of the connection and of interest, and probably the love to the technology would help us make Ruby popular. And then the October 2004, we got Ruby on Rails. Then the web application become the killer application for the Ruby language. And at the beginning, Ruby was designed as a scripting language, like a shell script and the Perl programming language and the Awk programming language. But the Ruby was good enough and powerful enough to create more, bigger, more complex software, like a web application. So that the Ruby will gradually become web programming language. Unlike PHP, the Ruby was not designed as a web programming language, but it became a web programming language. At the same period, we formed the organization to help Ruby programming language named the Ruby Association. Then the lessons we can learn from this period so that joy can create benefit. So that, as I said, at the beginning, so very few people shown interest in Ruby programming language because it did not provide a benefit. But some, the joy seekers, Ruby was fun to program and it's fun to play with. So that some joy seekers gathered together to improve the Ruby and they formed the tools and gems and libraries, frameworks around the Ruby. So then they gradually create the very useful tools like a Ruby Gems, Bundler, the Ruby on Rails framework, or the other framework like a Hanami or the Padrino or anything. So that these small number of people create benefit from the motivation of joy. That is kind of good news. So that joy can create the benefit, which is one lesson we can learn from this period. The second lesson is the marketing is important. I am a programmer. I like to create program. So that my belief was that technology like Ruby should be evaluated through the viewpoint of the technology. So that was my belief that if we create a great software, that should be popular. That should become popular. But the reality is that we have to tell people or enlighten people to, okay, here is the great software. We can tell you how good this software is. This is some form of the marketing. DHH, David Heinemeier Hansen, who is the creator of the Ruby on Rails, who was pretty much younger than me, but he was great at the software enlightenment. At the very beginning of the Ruby on Rails, he created some kind of the video to create the prototype of the web application in 15 minutes. Remember that was 2004. That year, the YouTube was started. That means that at that time, the video was not that popular on the internet. Compared to the present day, that is kind of unbelievable. So that we see video everywhere on the internet. But at that time, nearly 20 years ago, the video was not that popular. So that, but as we all know, the video was more expressive and easy to understand. So that kind of situation helped Ruby on Rails to be accepted. So that I learned the lesson that if you didn't tell the majority do not know the existence of the software or technology, so that they cannot evaluate the technology from the scratch. So that means we need some form of the marketing, even if we are the open source software. if we are not if we are commercial software, we need even more need some kind of marketing. I hate some other form of the marketing. Probably some marketers don't hesitate to lie, but that's not good. That's not good. I agree. But there's the other form of the marketing, probably telling people the existence or greatness of the software. That form of the marketing is pretty much required. The other lesson, the we understand, we realize the importance of the filling the gap between the you know the the suit people and the hackers. Like after the Ruby on Rails got popular, so that many people, especially the people behind the company, started to use Ruby, but they hesitated to use new technology because they knew little about technology. So that, but the technology people like us tends to focus too much on the technology itself. But we suffer some kind of the gap between the business people and the technology people. So that we organize the Ruby Association to fill those kind of the gaps. So that the Ruby Association was telling business people for use cases, the business use cases of the Ruby language, or that, or kind of the technology seminar that can be understandable for the suit people. For those, due to those efforts, the people started to use Ruby in business. In 2009 to 2014, many companies, including huge companies, like the big company like the Intel, Apple, some part of the Facebook, and then the new companies like a GitHub or the Shopify and the Airbnb or many other companies use Ruby in their products. That is wonderful. Then January 2009, we released the Ruby 1.9. The old member of the Ruby community might remember the Ruby 1.9 made some kind of the huge gap, huge technology bump. So the previous Ruby 1.8 and the Ruby 1.9 has some kind of the big difference, like a new virtual machines and the new encoding treatment, or the technology, the overhaul in many places. So so the many Ruby software written for the Ruby 1.8 did not run on Ruby 1.9. So not that big, but we need slight rewrite for the previous software. And then many people did not want to rewrite their software, so that they chose to stick to the older version Ruby 1.8. So that we suffer some kind of the community split for more than 5 years. We have learned these lessons. The compatibility matters. So that after that, even the major releases like Ruby 2.0 and Ruby 3.0 basically keeps the compatibility. Of course, we are adding new features every year, so that we provide slight incompatibility in every release, but we care very much about the not making the huge bumps like before, like Ruby 1.9. For most of the cases, the new Ruby version will be the drop-in replacement for the previous versions. And then remember that that kind of the compatibility issue was not the only issue for us, the Ruby community. For example, the Python community suffers a similar problem between the Python 2 and Python 3, and they suffered even longer. They suffered more than 15 years for the community split. Compared to that, the Ruby community, the community split itself was some kind of a tragedy, but it's much better than 5 years is much better than the 15 years. The reason behind that is the performance. Fortunately, the Ruby 1.9 was several times faster than Ruby 1.8. The new virtual machine was quite wonderful, so that it was 2-3 times, or even in some cases maybe 15 times faster than Ruby 1.8. So that means that the community, people in the community felt, okay, I have to rewrite my software to adapt the new version of the Ruby language. But if we use the newer version, my software would run several times faster. Okay, it might be worth the cost of rewriting. That kind of the performance improvement heals all sorrows. That is the lesson we learned. So that we can't help making incompatibility to progress, but at the same time, we have to provide clear benefit with those incompatibility. That is the lesson we have learned. Okay, 2013 February 2013, we released a Ruby 2.0. The Ruby 0.4 comes with the new features like the refinements and many people. At the point of the Ruby 2.0, the original idea of the future Ruby, my personal ideas are almost filled. So that Ruby 2.0, for me, the Ruby 2.0 was a path to perfection. But at the same time, around those time, it was the end of the Rails illusion. You might know the Gartner's hype cycle. So that when new technology comes, it started as 0.0. Then we have some kind of the popularity bump, but people expect too much on the technology. It is kind of illusion. But after that, we suffer some kind of the disappointment. So that from year 2013 to 2018 or something, so that we suffer some kind of the valley of the disappointment. So the many people left to say Python or TypeScript, JavaScript. That many people left. That is kind of I miss them. I miss them. But people come and go. So the new people always come and use Ruby and create a benefit. That is great. The people comes and go. But no matter how many people left, no matter how many people comes, so the community, especially the core community, we should keep moving forward. We should keep moving forward. Then, the November 2015, in the keynote of the conference, I declare the slogan of the Ruby 3x3. That means the Ruby 3.3, which should becomes 5 years later, Ruby 3.0 would be 3 times faster than Ruby 2.0. That is not an easy task. But I knew it was difficult, but we choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade, which is the quote from the John F. Kennedy. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. So I knew that making Ruby 3 times faster is hard. Actually, we at the time of the saying 2015, every low-hanging fruit was taken. So that we need some kind of the Nobel rewrite of the virtual machine. But we need this. We need this to drive the community, because we need some kind of the driving force of the community to keep moving forward. Then after this keynote, newer technology like the MJIT, YJIT, JIT compilers, or the some kind of the improvement of the garbage collectors, the many performance improvement has made, and then Ruby 3.0 became 3 times faster in some benchmarks. Unfortunately, not all the benchmarks, but in some benchmarks, Ruby 3.0 is in reality 3 times faster than Ruby 2.0. The improvement continued as of right now. The Ruby 3.3 2B in the main branch would be Rails application runs 60%, not 3 times though, but 60% faster than the Ruby 2.0, which is terrific, which is wonderful. If you provide the big services on the Ruby on Rails, you may need the 6% less machines in production. I mean 6%. It's like that. 30%, 30% less machines in production. That is wonderful. The February 2020, we released the Ruby 3. But by the way, I forgot this slide. Okay, we made this because of the leadership and the vision. So that we provide the vision, of the making Ruby 3 times faster than Ruby 2. And then we led the community to accomplish that kind of vision, so that we may realized those vision. That leadership is pretty much important in the software production, software development. The year February 2020, the Ruby 3.0 was finally released. But the people say Ruby is dead, Rails dead. So that because we compared to the the peak of the illusion, it seems the Ruby became the weaker, the popularity was lost on something. So the people, especially from the outside of the community, claims the Ruby is dead and Rails is dead and something like that. But we actually still creating the benefit, and the benefit itself is real and unvanished, and the value from the Ruby and the Ruby on Rails is still there. That is the most important thing. The few months ago, so that the DHH was made a comment about the TypeScript, and some people replied, sometimes people just going to believe in flat Earth. That means that for some people, especially in the community of the static type language, like the TypeScript or the Rust or the for those people, the language sticks to the dynamic type, or the language stick without the type declaration is kind of like a flat Earth, But the best way to predict the future is to invent it. So that I have a dream where we have no type declaration in the language as we are now, but still we have all the benefit of the static type programming language, from the the type inference, but type guessing, or the many other technologies. And then we will provide tools to inspect your software to detect the type errors without any type declarations. I believe it is possible, and we are working on it. In other notable events in the last 30 years was the alternative implementations. I believed there would be the one and the only one Ruby implementation, which is C Ruby. But despite my expectation, we have a lot of alternative implementation, which is JRuby from 2001, the Iron Ruby from 2007, Truffle Ruby from 2013, and MRuby, which is created by myself, which started at 2012. And the other notable event is the ISO standard. ISO standard 30170 2012 was declared. And then that is kind of interesting topic. When I started creating my language, did I expect my language would be registered in the ISO standard? Definitely no. The reality is far beyond the imagination. The Paul Graham, the famous entrepreneur and the investor, create once wrote the essay named The 1,000-Year Language. And then my language was survived for 30 years. That is kind of good things. But I want my language would survive for coming next 30 years. In the essay, program claimed the 1,000-year language, the language that would survive for the next 100 years should be the attributes like a conciseness and the readable, and then it should be extensible. And then the Ruby is concise, and Ruby is readable, and the Ruby is extensible. So we need to improve even further. So we need to improve the performance. We try to make Ruby even faster, and we are working on the Ruby become more concurrent. And we are going to provide more tools, and we are working on types. At a few months ago, that I asked the ChatGPT to make the type, infer the type of this software, and he replied and estimated the correct types from the small programs. The similar things could happen to your programs. So the current technology, including AI, including the traditional the type inference, we can estimate the type of the variables, type of the methods, and the type and then check the type contradiction as humans could do. That is wonderful. That is wonderful things. Anyway, we are going to keep moving forward, as we have always tried last 30 years. That we can make progress even for next 30 years. Then we tried it to create a better world, and the world was made better compared to the 30 years ago. So that we are trying to make the future world even better. So let's join us to create better world by technology, through Ruby, or maybe beyond Ruby. Anyway, the Ruby has the potential, and the Ruby has the future, and we are part of it. We create better future together. Thank you. This talk is sponsored by the NSA companies in Japan and the OSS Vision company, which I created recently, and the Git. My all activities are supported by the GitHub sponsors, and especially all the work is the Ruby itself is supported by the Ruby community, all the Ruby community all over the world. Thank you. Bye.